Hello all, myself Dr. Umesh, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management. Today we are going to deal about non-probability sampling techniques. Now what is sampling and what is population? This can be very beautifully and clearly, you can get a clear picture from this chart. You can see this is the population size, and from there the sampling process is this, and from there this population, the sample is drawn, and from that sample the proper adequate information is collected, and this is the whole thing is known as sampling process, and it's a very huge area. So we are going to just understand what is sampling technique, especially non-probability sampling, right? So these are the different sampling methods. We got non-probability sampling. This is the section we are going to deal, and then we got probability sampling, and we have mixed sampling methods also, that is probability and non-probability sampling. So for the time being, we are just going to deal about what is non-probability sampling. Okay. So there are 4 categories of non-probability sampling: judgment sampling, quota sampling, convenience sampling, and snowball sampling. Now regarding non-probability sampling, first one is judgment sampling. Now what is judgment sampling? Judgment sampling is also known as purposive sampling or deliberate sampling. Depends exclusively on the judgment of the investigator. Sample selected which investigator thinks to be most typical of the universe. The researcher chooses the sample based on who they think would be appropriate for the study. This is used primarily when there is a limited number of people that have expertise in the area being researched, right? Now there are lots of merits and demerits of sampling, judgment sampling. That is, the merits are like small number of sampling units, study unknown traits, case sampling, urgent public policy and business decisions, and regarding demerits, personal prejudice and bias, no objective way of evaluating reliability of results. Now we can easily understand judgment sampling with the help of this example. Now all the theory part we have learned, we have seen. Now this is a practical example which can be elaborately explain what is exactly this judgment sampling is. Now see in this picture, suppose there are 20 students in a class, and I am the investigator or I am the researcher, and from this particular class I feel as an investigator that 8 students can give me all information that I am expecting or that I am thinking of. Like this 8 students will be giving all the answers from my questionnaire or from interview schedule. So this is purely judgment of the researcher, because out of 20 students I have chosen only 8 students purely on the basis of my judgment. There is nothing scientific behind that. So there are other students, but I am not taking them into consideration. I am not taking 50% of the total population. That is, after 20 students I should have taken 10 students, but I have taken only 8 students, and that also on the basis of my judgment only. So this is purely judgment sampling example. Now moving to convenience sampling. What is convenience? Convenience sample units are selected on the basis of convenience of the investigator, of the researcher, selected neither on probability nor on judgment. Merits, like it's useful for the pilot study purpose, and the demerits, like results usually biased and unsatisfactory. Now again, we can have lots of examples for that, but again, if you look into convenience sampling more thoroughly, sometimes known as grab or opportunity sampling or accidental sampling, Haphazard sampling, there are lots of different names for convenience sampling. A type of non-probability sampling which involves the sample being drawn from that part of the population which is close to hand, that is readily available and convenient. Researcher's point of view. This particular definition is purely researcher's point of view. That means if I am a researcher and something which is readily available for me, I am taking that particular respondents or I am taking that particular information is purely convenience. I am not using any scientific method, I am not using any probability sampling, but only I am following my convenience as a researcher. A very beautiful example is there. This lady or this girl is asking this boy, hey, do you believe in the death penalty? Now, so see, the funny thing is that the girl is in her home, and the boy is having a morning walk with his pet, and the girl is asking the question without considering the background of the person, of that boy, the location, nothing. Because the girl saw that boy in front of her house, and immediately she is asking that question whether death penalty is okay for him or not, whether he believes in death penalty or not. So this is purely convenience to this girl, convenience to this investigator, because the respondent is very near to the investigator or very near to that girl, right? Now again, another example for the convenience sampling. Again, in a class, suppose there are 100 students, okay? As an investigator, I am taking only 20 students, and that too purely on the basis of my convenience. In this particular example, we can see that I have selected only red, blue, purple and violet. I have totally excluded yellow and dark yellow. So there is no proper logic behind that. It's purely on the basis of convenience of the researcher, right? So the thing is that it is not at all scientific. The outcome, the findings, you can't say it's scientific, because I have not used simple random sampling, I have not used any proper methodology. Only on the basis of convenience I have selected these respondents. Okay, fine. Then moving on to quota sampling. Now what is quota? The term itself is self-explanatory, quota, right? Most commonly used in non-probability sampling. Quotas set up according to some specified features or characteristics. Within the quota, selection depends on personal judgment. Now, the merit side is that used in public opinion studies. Demerit, personal prejudice and bias can be occur. Now moving on to again, what is quota sampling? Quota sampling is a method for selecting survey participants. In quota sampling, a population is first segmented into mutually exclusive subgroups, just as in stratified sampling in probability sampling. Then judgment is used to select the subjects or units from each segment based on specified proportion. For example, an interviewer may be told to sample 200 females and 300 males between the age of 45 and 60. This means that individuals can put a demand on who they want to sample, targeting. Now this can be very easily explained with the help of an example. You can see this particular example. Suppose as an investigator, I am trying to survey the radio listening capacity of people in a city or in a taluk or in a proper municipality, right? So total 500 people are there, and out of 500 people, as a researcher, I am assuming that there should be 60% of housewives. I am already assumed, and I am already fixed a quota of 60% exclusively for housewives, because as a researcher I feel that housewives will be listening more to radio in the morning time, in the prime time, right? So on the basis of that assumption, I have given 60% of quota to housewives only. Then remaining 15% to children of below 15 years. Then 25% to farmers. Normally in the rural area you can see that farmers used to listen a lot radio, because that is the most available sort of entertainment in rural area, especially northern India. So in the morning time they used to listen all kinds of entertainment via radio, songs, all the news, Agashwani, etc. So 25%, on the basis of that assumption, on the basis of that thought process, I have given 25% quota to farmers only. So the whole sample size will be 60% housewives, 25% farmers, and 15% children of below 15 years. Right? So specific quota I have given. Now this particular example we can again remodify. Suppose the topic is something else, instead of radio listening, if suppose I want to know the economic status of people living in a particular city or taluk or municipality, then again on the same process, on the same mechanism, I can allot different quotas to different groups. Like for 60%, I can allot to SC group in that city or in town, then 25% to ST group, then again 15% to OBC group, remaining part to general category, based on their population size, based on the total people living in that area. On the basis of that, I can again allocate different quotas. Right? It depends. Again, suppose my study is like the economic status of people living in Kochi metro. Right? Again, I can give different types of quotas accordingly, like 60% people living in urban area, remaining 20% people living in semi-urban area, suburbans, then remaining people living in the coastal belt, panchayats. So the different quotas I can allocate, right, according to the situation. So this is about quota sampling. I hope it is clearly understood. Then moving on to the snowball sampling. This is the last, snowball sampling is the last category in non-probability sampling. This is a special non-probability sampling method used when the desired sampling characteristic is rare. It may be extremely difficult or cost prohibitive to locate respondents in these situations. Snowball sampling relies on referrals from initial subjects to generate additional subjects. Snowball sampling steps: make contact with one or two cases in the population, ask these cases to identify further cases, ask these new cases to identify further new cases, stop when either no new cases are given or the sample is large as is manageable. Now again, going to snowball sampling, as I mentioned earlier, selection of additional respondents is based on referrals from the initial respondents, friends of friends, used to sample from low incidence or rare populations. Now, for example, about snowball sampling, suppose a researcher wants to study the economic status of NRI people in Malappuram district after this Nitakat issue, right? I mean, those people coming from, losing the job from Gulf city, from Gulf countries, and from Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE, from all these countries, and coming back to the hometown, and I want to know their economic status of these ex-NRIs, right? If that is a study, now how will I find the respondents? Suppose I have traced one respondent, one NRI, ex-NRI. I have given the questionnaire and he has cooperated very well to me. That means I am the researcher. And moving from that particular NRI to the another NRI, I don't have any connections. I don't know where they are living, from where I can find out other NRIs, ex-NRIs. So I am asking the first respondent, can you suggest any other person or your friend, like the similar case for coming from Gulf and doing their business in their hometown. So he can suggest me, he can say that okay, one of my friend is in Kondoti, you can go to Kondoti Taluk or Kondoti town and you can tell him my name and he will cooperate. So I have found second respondent. I have gone to this place Kondoti, I have interviewed that ex-NRI, that is my second respondent, and again I am repeating the same question. I am asking him, can you suggest me some other ex-NRIs? So again he is suggesting some other friends who is living in Chelembra, some other place in Malappuram district. Again I am moving, as a researcher I am moving to Chelembra. I am again interviewing that person, that ex-NRI. So again referral, the second respondent has given the referral of the third respondent. So this is snowball sampling. So that is the pictorial representation is given here. Suppose this is the first respondent, he has given 2 referrals. This first respondent is living in Nilambur municipality. After the interview, this NRI has given 2 referrals. One NRI, ex-NRI is living in Kondoti, one ex-NRI is living in Edavanna. Again, I have met both of these ex-NRIs. So sample 1, sample 2, sample 3. Again from sample 3, I am getting another 2 referrals. One ex-NRI is living in Kondoti, another ex-NRI is living in Chelembra. From number 3 sample respondent, I am getting number 4 and number 5. And again from number 4, I am getting number 6, number 7. So this is snowball sampling, referral system, right? So as an investigator, it is very useful and he can complete his topic, his research topic very conveniently. And these are the merits of snowball sampling. Access to difficult to reach populations. Other methods may not yield any results. So this referral system is very good. It can be easily executed and it is accessible also. The demerit is that not representative of the population and will result in a biased sample as it is self-selecting. The thing is that ex-NRI. So if suppose my area, focus area is Gulf, but it is not necessary that ex-NRI, that particular ex-NRI is from Gulf background. Maybe he has spent his life in European nation and came back to his hometown. So there can be small gaps. So that is the big demerit. And these are the references I have used for this particular session. And I hope this non-probability sampling, that is the first one, judgment sampling, then the convenience sampling, then the quota sampling, and finally the snowball sampling has clearly understood by the viewers. Thank you. In the next session, we will talk about probability sampling. Have a nice day.